They thought her uniform was a joke, until they saw what she carried in her eyes. And by the time they realized the truth, the flames had already started climbing. The dust over Fort Walker shimmered under the bright afternoon sun, and the courtyard felt unusually still. That's when 3 cadets, loud, restless, too sure of themselves, noticed the woman walking toward the administrative hall, her jacket tucked gently over her arm. They mocked its faded patches, laughed at the worn stitching, and one of them, fueled by arrogance, snatched it from her hands. Within seconds, he flicked open a lighter and whispered, "It's fake." By the time she shouted his name, the flames were licking the sleeve. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The woman didn't run. She froze, not from fear of the fire, but from the memories stitched into that jacket's fabric. Every burn mark, every seam, every quiet name she had carried with her through deployments. And as the cadets laughed, the wind shifted, sweeping the courtyard with a thin line of dust that curled around her boots. It was a warning, a change in the air. Even the nearby soldiers paused mid-step, sensing something they couldn't name. Her name was Mara Hale. The cadets didn't know her, or so they thought. She inhaled once, steady and deep, grounding herself as the fire spread across the jacket's front. She whispered under her breath, a name, a promise, and then stepped forward. The cadet who held the lighter faltered. Her eyes were not the eyes of a stranger. They were sharp, calculating, carrying a weight he couldn't recognize. "Ma'am, it's just a prank," another one offered, suddenly aware of the shifting silence around them. A few service members had stopped walking. A civilian couple near the visitor center tilted their heads. Even the sunlight seemed to pause. But Mara only said, "Do you have any idea what you've done?" The question wasn't loud, but it landed like a command. A ripple went through the crowd. The flame dropped to the pavement, the jacket collapsing on top of it, burning faster now, sending curls of smoke into the bright sky. Mara knelt, ignoring the heat rushing toward her hands. She tried to lift the jacket, but the fabric tore, fragile from years of sun and war. For a second her face softened. Grief, regret, a history no one else could see. And then a deep voice cut through the courtyard. "Step away from the Admiral." Every head swung around. A line of Navy personnel marched in from the far gate, boots striking in unison, sunlight glinting off their badges. At their front walked General Rowan Pierce, his presence filling the space like a storm sweeping across dry land. The cadets stiffened instantly. Someone whispered, "Admiral," and the crowd murmured again, louder this time, questioning, doubting, piecing the scene together. General Pierce stopped beside Mara. "We've been waiting for you," he said softly. She rose, soot still clinging to her fingers, her hair catching the sun like a halo that felt almost symbolic. The cadets stared, pale now, fully realizing the rank they had just insulted. Not a visitor, not a retiree, but the newly appointed Admiral of the Pacific Fleet. And the jacket they burned wasn't a costume. It was her final deployment uniform, her last reminder of the soldiers she lost. The general turned to the cadets. "This base runs on honor. And today you spat on it." What happened next felt like a wave. Marines from the West Yard, sailors from the East Lot, soldiers stepping out of the training hall. They surrounded the courtyard, not to intimidate, but to restore order, a coordinated, disciplined movement that left the cadets trembling. The crowd watched, silent, respectful. Dust lifted again, swirling around Mara like a veil, as if the base itself was acknowledging her return. Mara looked at the cadets, not with anger, but with a certain tired clarity. "You can rebuild a burnt jacket," she said, "but rebuilding integrity, that's harder. I hope you're willing to try." And remarkably, the cadets didn't argue. They bowed their heads. Something in her presence, her calm, her steadiness, her refusal to strike back, broke through their pride. General Pierce placed a new jacket over her shoulders, crisp and symbolic. "Welcome home, Admiral." Children watching from the visitor fence clapped. A retired veteran saluted. The atmosphere shifted, bright, warm, almost hopeful, as if daylight itself approved of what had unfolded. Because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. And sometimes, the brightest sun shines on the moments born from ashes. If this story moved you, leave a comment, share your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more heartfelt stories told with compassion and courage.